I'm Craig Mosbaek, and I was the founding president of the Portland Farmers Market when we opened in 1992, 30 years ago now. About a year before we opened the Portland Farmers Market, I just had this thought that farmers markets are great, and if any city would support a farmers market, it would be Portland. And so I thought it through and got a couple of my friends, Ted Snyder and Rick Hagan, to help with it. And we did a lot of legwork. That the year before we opened, we found what we thought was a really good site at Albers Mill, the first site of the Saturday version of the Portland Farmers Market. And we opened up with 13 vendors. We were all very excited. We had a lot of customers there, and we grew from there, and then moved to the PSU site in I think 1998. So when we started in 1992, all three of us were at the market every day. I remember I didn't have a Saturday off in like 1992, 93. Ed Snyder was the market manager from the get-go the first 5 years. I was able to step back and not come to the market every day, but I continued to be sort of the organizer behind the scenes and doing the paperwork, doing a little bit of processing of vendor applications and stuff like that. And then later we hired an executive director, and I was able to just be president of the board and run those meetings, and that was fun because we had a great board of directors that evolved over those first 10 years. And then I remember, about 10, 11 years in, I stepped down from being president and stepped down from the board. And there were, a few farmers markets around the country and even around the city of Portland, like in Gresham and Beaverton, before we opened. And I really thought that if any city would support fresh local produce direct from the grower, that it would be Portland. There wasn't really a strong local food movement at that point, but we were definitely riding that momentum and riding that wave. And at the time, I remember, like when we started the Chef in the Market program, I knew who the chefs were at the six, best restaurants in town who came down to do that first Chef in the Market. But over the years, that just grew and grew. And I know that we would know that new restaurants would open who wanted to focus on the fresh local bounty of the Northwest. They would come down to the market on Saturday and buy their produce for the week. And then later they would have these same vendors, drop it off in the middle of the week. And so it's been really great to see the local food scene just grow, with the farmers markets and with these restaurants, so many of which really focus on the fresh local bounty that we have here. One of the favorite ways the market has grown is the availability of produce through a wider variety of months of the season. I remember when we opened in 1992, we opened in late June to make sure that there was enough produce to have the aisleways look full and have people be able to buy stuff. And over the years, the vendors have learned how to grow more on the shoulder season, so stuff comes earlier and stays later. Like I remember the first time people had field-grown tomatoes in June. On a good year, you can get corn at the end of June now, and that's just really exciting for both the customers at the farmers market, but also for the restaurants who can then use this fresh produce along the way. And I will just add that the produce that has grown in the best quality over years is corn. I grew up on the East Coast and ate a lot of great corn in the summers growing up as a youth. And when I came out here, and even at the Portland Farmers Market when we started, the corn wasn't that good. And now there's just super fantastic corn. And again, like as early as late June. So that expansion of the market into a longer growing season that's just been really fun to see. One of the things, 30 years is a long time, and I think about what was I thinking, when all this started. And I remember early on saying, like, once we go to a certain size, recruiting all the vendors, creating the policies, that's all kind of difficult. And once we get to a certain size, it'll just run itself. Well, of course, things just got more complicated. And I remember talking to Ted, after we'd both left the market, we were like, you know what? It is running itself. It runs it without us. And again, it's just so much fun to come down to the market and just see 130 vendors now on Saturday. We were starting with 13. The diversity of the customers, the diversity of the vendors. It's just really exciting to see the continued growth of the market.